Oh, hold on. There we go. You know what? Hold on. I gotta start that all over again. Hold on a second, guys. Let me do this. For a reason. Hold on.
I'm still working on my line.
Okay.
Put that Monday behind you. Good times lie ahead. With company worth keeping, that'll bash a smile on your head. Come on in, the door's open. You'll find just the finest folks here. Pull up a chair, grab a drink, and lend our stories your ear. Cause we're the talk at the tavern. Here you're always welcome. The talk at the tavern. Promising beer and bedlam. The talk at the tavern. Music, medicine, then some. The talk at the tavern. The song's over. Here we come.
There we go. And welcome to the Tavern. It's Monday, April 27th.
Cut down a tree with a herring?
And there's Toey popping in with the call of the trees and the herring. I'm Travis. I'm the host. I'll pull up a quote so we can toast and alcohol to it in a moment. Let's start introductions with the guy in the upper right whose hair and shirt goes rather well together. Chris?
Hello! I'm Chris. I am drinking the usual rum and Dr. Pepper. Huzzah!
Spice rum?
Yes, blackguard.
There we go. Yeah. Okay.
That's a good drink, Captain Kirk. I hear it's pretty yummy.
Oh, I forgot that you guys make fun of this shirt when I put it on.
I think that's all you're typecasting was Kirk just because it's mustard colour. Especially since I was thinking Colonel Mustard in the library with a lead pipe.
My cat is mustard color.
He's Goldens. Yes. Hi, everyone. It's Elizabeth here, aka Pickle Lady. And thank you to all my followers. You've pushed me over the edge. I am now an affiliate. Thank you very much. But tonight, I am here in the tavern, doing adult things with adult friends. And tonight I am drinking Carlsberg Danish Lager. Yum, yum, yum. And later on, I shall be drinking Samuel Smith's Taddy Porter. And as always, wada.
Kevin, care to introduce yourself?
Of course, my good man. Good evening. Representing the UK this evening, I'm Kev. I will be starting off tonight by polishing off the second half of this Barefoot Malbec from California, and then I'll be moving on to a couple of large bottles of San Miguel that are chilling in the fridge. And as usual, I am smoking hand-rolled drum tobacco.
Sounds good.
Couple quick hellos. Oh, by the way, I've got a cigar and booze. Here's my vices for tonight. And for our hellos, we have been joined by Wordowin, Talking Toey, Lady Skipper, Jewel in other words, Conquest Publishing, John, and Wordowin says congratulations to you on achieving affiliate. And Kevin has joined us as Social Assassin. And Chris has joined us. Thank you for sharing your bits with the whole crowd, sir.
Carvilon cheered.
That is the Pickle Lady.
1, 2.
If anybody is a streamer, feel free to post your exclamation point me in the chat, including you, Elizabeth. There we go. Other than that, yeah, if you're listening to this on the podcast, join us live. I don't know if anybody has anything to say, but let's do a quote real quick. Oh, geez, that one came up the other day. I guess I'll read it again. Every great dream begins with a dreamer, like a frog named Kermit. Always remember you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars, to change the world. Harriet Tubman, famous tub producer. Thanks to her. You know, it'd be very different if she was a man named Harry Tubman.
They just made a movie about her,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it looked good for the trailer. I
Harry
was really
Tubman
curious.
sounds like the name a movie producer would give to a guy who, I don't know, like a portly railway attendant or something.
Yeah.
Sounds like a porn star name, Harry Tubman.
Feels like somebody would leave a ring of hair and ick around it.
As long as you clean it up and it doesn't clog the sink, everything's fine.
I've heard about people like that.
I have too.
Earlier tonight. Okay. In case we decide to segue from antics to the actual topic, the topic tonight is If I Knew Then. So if anybody has any If I Knew Then things, feel free to put them in the thing. As soon as Elizabeth talks, I will ding my bell so I can read your comments. So Elizabeth, you had the excitement of hitting 50 followers and running a online variety show this weekend.
Thanks for that transition, Travis. Yes,
Well,
I did.
Actually, I'm
And
very
it was-
curious, relating to the topic. So if you knew then what you know now, what would you have done different with it? And how'd it go? Because, yeah, Gary.
I would put the phone down the day of the show and not answer any messages. But actually, this is interesting. The power of shame is amazing. I managed to shame the right people, and I now have a producer for the continuing shows that will accept all material and deal with people and just send it my way. So life is good. So this is one thing I don't do enough, and I need to do more. And I'd like to share this with everyone. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to have and delegate authority. Don't try to do it all yourself. It's too much, and then your experience become miserable. So that's what I
It's a
learned from
hard
that
lesson to
experience.
learn.
And when you delegate, sometimes don't ask people. Just tell them, I need you to do this. Because if you
That's a
give them
good
the
point as well.
option, they're like, well, I don't really want to. And you're like, well, okay.
And the other thing is, I know. Oh, John's saying help. Oh, I get it. I thought maybe he fell over and was trapped.
Well, we mock him on
Sorry,
a live
comment.
stream.
John has said help.
I would be offended if it wasn't so funny. The other thing is, oh shit, I lost my train of thought.
If you knew then what you know now, and how your
I
event
knew
went.
it, and I knew it. I know this. I'm a professional, and I know this. And I was just trying to help the kids because I knew what film was first. It was a Star Wars spoof, and it was really good. And I wanted that to open the whole show. It set the variety tone. It was fabulous. So I used the 20th Century Fox music as an intro with the title sequence. I just made my own title sequence, thinking, oh, it's just for the show, no big deal. Well, yeah, no, I'm affiliate, and I can't load it onto YouTube. So, ooh.
Yeah, you can.
No, it won't let it. It already got me copyright infringement.
It's not a penalty, though. That's just letting you know it is copyrighted. You cannot monetize it.
They wouldn't even load it.
They wouldn't let you export it? You sure it's because...
No, not Twitch, YouTube.
Huh.
Yeah.
Because they always...
I
I get those warnings all the time, and all it is, you're not allowed to monetize it. That's all.
Well, I'll try again.
Yeah,
But,
take a look.
From now on, I'll make sure, I usually don't, but
Well-
if I want the 20th Century Fox, I'll just mimic it. Ta-da!
You're also allowed to use like 20 seconds or so for... I don't know.
I think if it's under 30 seconds, you're allowed to use it even if it is copyrighted material.
Yeah.
The theater gets away with that all the
unless it
time.
The only exception is if it belongs to Disney, in which case you get 3 seconds, then a team turn up at your house, take you
Right.
outside, and just put a bullet in you in the back of your house.
Pretty
But
much.
but they wish you a happy day and say it in a cute voice when they do it.
Have you guys? I know I've mentioned it before. I don't know if you guys have ever watched it. The British quiz show QI.
Yeah.
One of my favourite facts that came up on that was that at Disney, I think in the 50s, in internal memos, they were referring to the company as Mauschwitz. And the board found out, and this very stern directive came down saying you are no longer allowed to refer to Disney anywhere in any document as Mauschwitz, and anyone found doing so will be dismissed.
Yeah.
And it took them all of about 2 hours to switch to calling it Duck Owl.
Nice. By the way,
Okay. So hang on. I'm sorry. I'll wait your turn.
I'm done. That's it.
Elizabeth, a comment for you on from Toei is you could download your broadcast, edit out the music cue, then upload it to YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a bunch I gotta do. I
Okay.
use music all over the place.
Well, also, if these kids are doing popular songs with the music backup, that's going to create an
Yeah.
issue too.
And they're Irish dancing to Irish songs by
Yeah.
Michael Flatley, so it's
Yeah.
it's a nightmare. But
Okay, yeah.
just I love all of you and I respect your opinion, but as it's uploading, right? I get a copyright owner using content ID claimed material in your video.
Yeah.
Okay. Hang on. So then the next one, the next email, because I've gotten those occasionally,
Right.
Every few years or so. This one says, due to copyright claim, your YouTube video has been blocked. Boom. This means I didn't even get it uploaded yet. So they're not even
Keep reading, because sometimes it'll say blocked in certain countries. For example, you can't play Queen in certain countries.
Well, it says WMG, WGM. All right, I'll say.
What kind of backward-thinking fifth world country doesn't like the music of Queen?
One,
God
two.
damn it. Long live Freddie.
That's right.
Long live Freddie.
The cat and
I'll
the
drink too.
dead guy.
Fat bottom girls make the rockin' world go round.
Queen they were such a weird British phenomenon. Not that they were a good band, just that there were a lot of good British bands around at the time, but Queen, for somehow, they just captured the imagination of the nation. Like when Freddie Mercury died, that was a huge day in the UK. That was like almost nationally, in terms of like the number of people talking shop to each other. It was almost on a par with something like Princess Diana dying.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
You get that kind of like ripple through society where you're aware something major has happened on that day. And that's exactly what it was like the day Freddie Mercury died. I remember it distinctly.
Couple comments. Jules says, Kevin, Jamin laughed so hard he popped a rib. I don't know about what I miss. Were you funny? Okay, good enough. Kennedy says all music must be the 1812 Overture or Wagner.
Or spoofed. Just spoof it, I guess I'm gonna get really good at the ukulele.
I'm waiting to hear your rendition of When I'm Cleaning Windows.
You got it.
It's like a British rite of passage for any comedian.
When I'm cleaning windows. Close
There's
to
actually-
you.
there's a-
So many
there's a-
keys.
There's a British comedian called Frank Skinner who sort of idolizes the ground that he walks on, to the point where he actually learned to play the ukulele and learned a lot of Fred's tunes and stuff, and researched his life. And when they made a television documentary about him, they got him to be the host of it. So because of his appreciation of someone else in the same field as him, he's kind of become like an expert on him.
So who was the other he besides Freddie Skinner?
Frank Skinner. I'm trying to think of his name. I'm having one of those brain block moments.
Freddie, you weren't talking about Freddie Mercury anymore.
Let me. Let me Google it and I'll come back in a second, or someone else in Twitch will probably beat me to it. Famous British ukulele player from the 40s, 50s, 60s.
For anybody listening, that's Kevin's phone interacting with his headset. Kevin, while you check that, I'll read some comments if you want to mute yourself. Jules says Jamin wants to play the canon in the 1812 overture. Apparently Pickle Lady does too. Or maybe Pickle Lady.
George Formby, sorry.
Oh my god, move your phone away from your microphone, please.
There. How's that?
Oh my god.
Or just mute yourself next time you go to look.
Yes.
That's all. Wordwind says, I've gotten copyright notices on videos with music from YouTube's own copyright-free library. That's true. Hey,
Yeah.
there goes my guys floating across the screen. Yay! I like it. I know some people hate it. I'm entertained.
I flicked across the Twitch at that moment. Otherwise, I might have missed Pickle Lady getting her bits out.
Oh, look, I made the glass.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, I have too, and I've gotten. I'm so ready for the bell. Don't do it. Don't. I have gotten.
You waited too long. Gary says. I think it looks good. And Pickle Lady cheered 20 bits for Worden. You were saying?
I've gotten copyright of all sorts of stuff, and my buddy, the wizard, CSL Parker, has given me fully orchestrated pieces. He teaches at the Cork University in Ireland. He's a classical composer. So I get these huge pieces of music. He just signs whatever I need him to sign. No problem. Just use anything. And he's giving me stacks, and I get sometimes claims on those. And he is the owner. So.
Well, I think what happens is their machinery, their algorithm catches a popular pattern that's very similar to a popular song, just a certain scale or key and repetition. And that's what it... Yes, Kevin?
You ever use the app Shazam or anything like that? One of these things where you just hold your microphone up to a tune and it identifies the music you're listening to? That's how YouTube detection algorithms work. They essentially just run the audio from your video, your whatever, through something like that, and it matches it against popular known patterns for well-known tunes and throws it up if it thinks it's something where it comes out of a database as having copyright attached.
Meanwhile, they don't mind people downloading all of your films for free. They don't fight that.
Or
they
the
don't
books.
Give a fuck about that.
It's anytime I publish a book, within 24 hours, I can find somebody else selling my book.
It took me five days to get something with 30 seconds of music uploaded to YouTube once you get through all the red tape and the processing, but it takes me 30 seconds to download a free ripper so that I can steal someone else's off of YouTube.
Toey says claim abuse is rampant on YouTube. In relation to that, Kevin, apparently somebody I know who recently did a variety show on Twitch has been approached by people going, hey, can I have a copy so I can just pass it around to everybody and not give you any credit? Okay, I'm paraphrasing how they put it. And I said to Elizabeth, the person, just put it up on YouTube. Sorry, we got a comment for the Cali here. I said, just put it up on YouTube and let him go get a damn illegal ripper like everybody else.
But no, I can't, because the YouTube keeps blocking me. Isn't that funny? It's like God saying, "Don't be a cunt."
Yeah,
Don't
continue the upload
maybe
there
it's regional,
and see
maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it'd be different if it's in the UK. So if you Dropbox me a copy of it or something like that, and I'll try uploading it from here.
It's fabulous. We could start a whole criminal chain all over the world.
Subversive illegal YouTube uploads.
Ooh, that's quite lovely.
Uploaded from the UK. I'm really enjoying this wine, actually. And when I say really enjoying, what I actually mean is necking way too fast.
Yeah, you're drinking like a drowning man.
Oh, okay.
I'm British and the pubs are closed.
So Kennedy says, regarding censorship, not to get political, but But until I watched Dairy Girls, I didn't realize Jerry Adams of the IRA was banned by the UK, and they would have voice actors doing voiceovers. Totally threw me. And then Talking Toey says try bit shoot, which I read as bitch oot. I'm like, what the fuck is bitch oot?
Jerry Adams, he was censored for a while. He's not censored these days because, for those who don't know, Jerry Adams is an Irish political figure. He's the representative of Sinn Féin, which is the political wing of the IRA, the Irish Republican Army. For a long while, because of his affiliation with the IRA, he was censored in the British press. You wouldn't see him quoting stuff directly. They would have an actor or a blacked out silhouette with captions voiced by somebody else representing his words because they refused to show him on British television. That was during the 80s in the Thatcher era mainly. Since then, he distanced himself from the Republican Army side of the IRA and concentrated more on his political career with Sinn Féin, and eventually those restrictions were lifted and you will see him pictured sometimes on TV now.
That's a lot of work for them. You think instead they just like draw a mustache and googly eyes on him or something.
Thank you for the bit shoot. That's what I call my asshole.
The bit shoot?
The bit shoot.
It's all where you put the emphasis.
I'd like to point out at this point as well that I'm a British guy on an American podcast, and that is the first and last time I think I'm going to ever discuss the IRA on a live podcast.
Well, we'll get it out of you.
We'll pull it right out of your bitch oot.
My hoot's probably big.
I need a bell. I gotta get a different bell.
Instead, you'll have like the strum of the ukulele.
That's surely a British phrase. I can't imagine the Americans use that, do you?
What's that?
The phrase bell end means to you?
I know what it means because of association with yourself and others.
I know you're aware of it. Yeah, but it's not a phrase I would assume that's used in the USA a lot.
It's true. And it's been long enough since the IRA was in the news here that Talking Toey says IRA here just means individual retirement account. And that's right. And Worden says, look at these blokes talking out of their bit shoots. So what did you learn from this weekend besides YouTube's a bit shoot?
I've been watching Ozark on Netflix. Wow, that's a good series. Really good writing. Every episode's super intense, and it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. Love it. And I'd like to yield the floor to my fellow co-host, Kevin.
Kevin has something to say.
I would like to throw back to you with a question. Right, I've seen a load of my friends talk about Ozark. I know next to nothing about it because I'm very picky with what I do and don't watch. You are somebody whose opinion I respect in terms of the visual media. Break it down for me quickly in 30 seconds. Roughly, what's it about and why is it worth watching?
It's about what you're willing to do to protect your family. Amazing character arcs and how you will become someone you don't think you can be. And then how it's all turned on itself to where even the villains are right sometimes.
You know, I think the best part of that exchange...
Okay, I'm going to give it a go.
...is it took Kevin longer to ask the damn question than Elizabeth to summarize the whole thing.
It's got Laura Linney in it and just Jason Bateman, and I like both of them. And I like the fact that American entertainment is finally showing people when they get older, and they're allowing them to have wrinkles and story faces, and it's just fun. It's finally.
Well, yeah, because it's a Netflix series, so like Netflix is actually paying good actors to do actory things. They're not. Everything's got to be young and pretty.
You mean CW?
Pretty.
What?
You mean CW? Yeah. It's
You mean hiring models, but instead of people who can actually act?
that's called porn.
I like it when they hire people who can't sing to be in a musical.
Don't get me started.
Come on, Chris. Take another swig. Get started.
I started
Joins the
watching
Dotto.
Absurd Planet on Netflix.
We did too. Loving it.
Yes, and myself.
I'm like 3 episodes in.
It is
I do love that the exclamation point is in the middle of the title and not at the end.
It's the nailed it of nature shows.
I'm pretty sure I recognise the voice that narrates it as well.
Yeah, it's
I'm
Mother
sure
Nature. It's right there in the credits.
Just point out, I can't believe I haven't thought about that. I haven't looked in the credits to check the name, but it sounds like a American black comedian who is a guest on a British comedy show. If that made any sense.
Ekulona?
Could be actually, yeah, might be her.
No, I'm looking at it. That's.
Oh yeah, no. I mean that name sounds like it. I don't know, vaguely rings a bell.
You have a chance of Kevin letting you be right, Chris. Damn the internet and its information. This is Kevin's call.
I'd like to just revert back to the Dairy Girls that was brought up earlier.
Yeah.
That is a fabulous show. That's one of my favorites, where teenagers are allowed to, or at least the characters who are teenagers, act like teenagers. They don't act like 30-year-old women. You know, and it's really fun to see the trouble they get into. So it's a good show.
One thing that drives me crazy when I'm watching a sitcom from, let's say, 2008, and all the characters are late 20s, early 30s, and they are totally making just a ton of pop culture references from the 80s. And I'm like, you know what? They weren't even fucking born yet. Why are they making... Or when you get teenagers, like any CW show, on watching The Flash or whatever, and here's Grant, and he's making all these, like, 80s references, and I'm like, you don't even know what it is.
Here's a show I've been watching. Agreed to acknowledge what you said.
It doesn't matter.
I wanted to throw it out there just in case no one's seen it. I've been watching Kim's Convenience Store.
Mm-hmm.
Or Kim's Convenience. That is a really funny comedy. It's safe. It's
I've heard
PG.
it's pretty amazing.
It's Canadian. It's got good writing, and it's really fun. It's not over the top. It's just stuff people get into, and it's very good. And what's really fun
Well,
is
they're
it's about
Asian.
a
It's
Korean
hard for them to
family.
get over the
Yeah.
top. I'm speaking from
And
an
their
Asian
accents
height.
are fun.
Go ahead.
It's a good show. I'm just ignoring Travis for a second. Check out that show. It's on Netflix. Kim's Convenience. That's right, Chris. Drink it down. Catch up with us. For those of you who can't see, Chris has just rolled off his screen. He just trucked off his screen.
Okay.
How about you, Travis? What are you watching?
I'm watching Absurd Planet, Expanse. I binge watch Picard. Get to episode 3.5. Halfway through 3 is where they start to introduce all the other characters, and the show just blossoms. But episode 1 and 2, it's just there to set the he's got a dull life. You know, it's Act 1 of the 10 episode series. Did you say dong? Dong?
He's got the big bald dog. Are
Yeah.
you gonna?
Elizabeth noticed that.
Oh,
You're like, did you see that?
Cowbell.
Bitches, bitch shoot.
Aren't they gonna do a second season of that?
Yeah.
Ah, cool. More shows. More people make money. Cool.
Well, also good shows. It really is good writing. There are flaws in it. Don't get me wrong. I could pick out a few things where I'm like, come on, really? But in general, you know, I'll accept those flaws for the rest of the beauty of the show. And special effects, movie quality special effects. This is shit we've wanted in movies that they did when CG first came out. And now people are like, just slap some shit together and make a couple $1 billion. But it is movie quality entertainment, and that's what the reviews.
I thought when I watched Picard, I thought it was brilliant. I thought the same as you. There was a couple of really, they were stretching it a bit moments, but then on reflection, when I thought about it, yes, they're making a second series, but I don't think originally they ever planned to do it. I think they were just going to do it as a one-off because so many people wanted to see that character come back again. And if they'd known they were going to take it beyond that one throwaway season, if you like, they might not have been so glib with it. But I think given that they thought they were just making a one-off season and that was it done with, that they thought they could afford to stretch credibility a little bit for the sake of artistic license, if that makes sense.
I'll tell you this, without giving spoilers, but spoiling a joke within it, there's points in time where he hasn't been a captain of a starship for a while, and he sits in the chair to do something, and the technology has changed. It's moved forward, and he's like our grandfather with his smartphone, or sometimes us with a smartphone. He's just like, I don't know how to do this.
Oh, that's great.
It is.
Because he's normally so competent.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Like when I was a kid and my parents used to get me to program the VCR for them.
Right. And like all of us with a microwave clock still. Or the clock.
Yeah, I had a godlike power as a child because I was the only person who could make sure that my mum got EastEnders taped 3 different nights of the week without having to do anything.
I swear, every time I have to
vast
change
complexities of programming a video recorder to work on 3 different occasions.
Then they came out with DVRs, and I'm like, fuck you and your DVRs. I'm not even trying anymore.
It's like the tech gap today where my kids are at school and they're like, oh yeah, we teach all the kids coding. Like we had BBC computers and worked in like 4-bit graphics. Pong was a big deal.
We still had blocks for our video games. Clunk, clunk, clunk.
Well, like a friend of mine teaches out in LA, they don't have blackboards anymore. They have smart boards.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't even have whiteboards because they went from blackboards to whiteboards for a while.
Right.
And now they don't even have that. And like if they don't have, there was one day she was trying to teach and they lost power for whatever reason.
Yep.
And they had to cancel school because none of the technology could keep working beyond the fact that they were all sitting in the dark. But like in my day, the power went out, you rolled up the blinds on the windows and you kept going.
Yep.
You rolled out one of those old blackboards that was always in a storage cupboard. You know, the one that was on a mobile frame that you could flip over the double sided there. Someone's always got one of those.
Didn't quite work, so the teacher would like go and write too hard and it would tilt.
Straight white stuff. It's called, you know.
Chris has finally hit
rock on a blackboard, man. I love teaching with something to draw on because then you can have kids draw words. You can so easily teach them cursive. You can just anything's possible.
Everybody wants to come back and teach them again. Like they have you for one class and you draw weird shit on the blackboard and they're like, this one's special, we want her again.
This one's special, we must kill her.
Hey, drop!
I'm going to start talking as fast as I can before I can.
Well, that's like, you know, kids can't even leave like notes for the next class anymore, like behind the projector screen.
Yeah.
Because it's the screen, and if the board isn't on with the right thing, you can't do anything on it. So,
well,
like,
here's the way around that. There's this old technology. It's pretty cool. It was one of the original instant messaging things. It's called Post-it notes. There we go. Yeah, John says, you old folks against these newfangled gadgets. And yeah, I think it's sweet that Chris has finally hit an age where he could say, back in my day.
Bill Bailey, who's one of my favorite, you'll have heard me mention him before, he's one of my favorite British comedians. And there's a bit in one of his sketches where he points out, you know, the whole gangster thing with this, that kind of crossing your arms thing. It's like that's gangster, but if you take away the pointy fingers, it's essentially just a 1950s expression of mild annoyance. Go.
Kennedy says actor comedian Kumal Najan, I know I messed that up, from Silicon Valley, tells that he had a porn VCR tape in Pakistan, but the power would go out all the time and the tape was stuck and his parents were returning. That's when you unprogram the VCR and go, no, man, I don't know what that is. Technology.
I know where he's coming from. But yeah, no, this is it's not like a CD player, you know. Even then, you couldn't eject them with a VCR. No power, that thing's stuck in there. There's physically no short of dismantling your VCR to the point where it will never work again. That tape is not coming out of that machine. For anyone who remembers me, they were like the armored vault of digital replay.
Now I love technology, but it's so fragile. It just takes so little for it to not work, and then what you know, it's just such an easy. You know what? I was just thinking this the other day, and people say his hand's moving. I'm getting nervous. People talk about how we need technology today to teach people. Lincoln learned by writing on the back of a shovel, by reading books. You don't need that. You just need good instruction, and you need to be inspired. You don't need all this bullshit crap.
Just scratching with a nail or something like that.
Yeah, like I think of the piece of like chalk from the ground, like a rock. Yeah, that's how he practiced.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean it's back in Lady Skipper, Travis.
Actually, there's like 5 comments if you want to read them off.
John says, the wonderful 50s. Roughhead, Bill Bailey, Black Books.
Yes,
also, his music
exactly.
is great.
Yeah.
That show, yeah.
Yeah.
Lady Skipper says, back in my day, when dinosaurs roamed the earth.
You skipped Toei.
I didn't. I saved her for last.
Oh, well, there's one more. There's 2 more from Kennedy down below.
All right, I'll do Toei, and you can do the 2 more. I hope the tape was stuck in his VCR and not. And the last 2 are distance learning. ... Sorry, kids, no more snow days. Homeschool problems.
Oh, very true. That's going to change things now that we're doing this shit. They're like, oh, snow days? It's okay, we got this.
No, it'll just be blackouts, or you know.
That's true. I had no power. Instead of my dog ate my homework, my computer was not charged.
My internet was out.
Uh-huh.
No, my friend who's out in LA teaching, she's had a lot of kids who aren't reporting in to her class on a daily basis going, sorry, the internet was out. She's like, you just didn't want to fucking show up to class. Like, your internet is not out.
I think we need to start a GoFund to buy alcohol for his teacher friend in LA, because she probably needs a little help.
Can we split it half?
I have a friend who's a teacher who's teaching a class online 3 days a week at the moment. And the other day she was about an hour and 10 minutes into a 2-hour class online with her students. And she addressed a question to one of the girls and she thought her audio wasn't working properly because she didn't respond. Until later on when they were working again and she looked at the girl and she realized that this girl, I love this, the advancement of the tech age. This girl had just filmed like a 60-odd second clip of herself writing in her book, grabbing some stuff, doing stuff like this, blah, 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 and just looped it and then stuck it on. And she messaged the girl's mum and she was like, oh, she got class now? No, she's outside in the garden on the trampoline. Hour and 10 minutes she blagged her class before they caught her out. Brilliant. Like a spy, just in there with the 60-second loop on the CCTV.
What is that, Elizabeth?
It's a card from a goddess with a black cat that's saying, don't tell me what to do.
With a beer and a cigarette.
It's so sweet.
Hey, there's a new follower. Let's raise our glass to Saunders.
Oh.
It's Nancy!
Raise the glass, Nancy, though.
You said Nancy, is that the name? Nancy, good to see you. We've heard good things about you.
She's my underwater hockey buddy, and we've taken a couple vacations together. She's the queen of the sea.
The
Wait,
sea?
underwater hockey?
Yeah. We like to swim with half-naked men. What can I say?
Sure.
Which half?
Regular hockey was
The
too
boring
easy,
part.
so we melted the rink and we went underwater. You wear snorkels, fins, and a 3-pound puck. You got to push around with a little stick and make it in the goal, holding your breath the entire time.
Kevin, I'll give you a hint on which half. They're not allowed to show nipples.
Oh no! Not only do they show them, they shove them in your face and your eyes on the ground.
You're like, don't push my
Never-
head down. I know what I'm doing.
It's definitely a game that's played with no balls.
John says
And
me
on that
also.
note, I'm going to go and grab a beer. I'll be back in a sec.
Go get beer. Join us, Kevin. Join.
Nancy, if you need any instruction on how to use Twitch, let us know or text Elizabeth and she could just say it out loud on air. We don't mind helping some of the new folks who have just discovered Twitch. If you know what you're doing, then I'll stop harassing you. But welcome to the Tavern. Glad to have you here. We are talking about If I Knew Then, which in a weird way, we have constantly been doing that as we talk about new technology versus old technology. So, yeah, there we go. We've got that going on. Elizabeth, did we play out everything you learned from your... Just type help.
I learned that after being years on the Tavern,
Yeah.
that all my emotes are with beer and things I can't use on my channel. It was fun.
Wait,
Oh.
where? Here. Let me throw up one of my favorite combinations.
I learned that when you give and you do something voluntarily out of the goodness of your heart, you really have to let your ego go. And sometimes that can be tough because people don't appreciate how much work creating anything is. And so just let it go. And, but I'm not going to be afraid to make money off of what I'm doing. The first one's always free.
Yeah.
The second one. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Elizabeth, if you make it look... The hell is that? Besides a butt, what's the next one? A rat?
It's a booty.
Oh, it's a Pikachu giving you
Gotcha,
finger
okay.
guns with the shades on. Look
Yeah.
at that booty.
You're doing great, Nancy. But yeah, it's if you make it look easy, people never realize how much work goes into it. And that's the problem with making it, because we want to make it look easy, because it makes us look, professional. And it's another... Chris has many booties.
He does. He's
I
a
thought I
booty.
had more, but apparently I stopped following some channels that had booty.
And they-
emotes.
You maniac. The other thing is to value what you do, to value yourself and your skills and your talents. And I know that now. And if I'd known that, if I had done that years ago, perhaps things would be different. But I'm not doing that anymore. Now I value what I do. So
And also, it's, I think, good to say out loud your values so other people recognize it and agree with it out loud. This is how... Hey, welcome back, Word. This is how so many popular singers, entertainers, even companies... The reason we buy so much Coke is because Coke told us how great they are. Not
true.
because Coke is actually all that special, just because they went, we're great. Pussy.
can you imagine having Coke when it still had cocaine in it? Oh man.
Well, I can if I call the right person.
Imagine the work you could get done. Who is this person? Where's their number? Text me. We'll talk later.
My weather report has arrived to tell me it's raining outside.
Nice. Where it says it's really
What
hard
beer
to...
did you get? Oh, I'm sorry.
What beer to get? I got a San Miguel.
San Miguel. Okay. San Miguel. Word says it's really hard to value yourself because you have first-hand knowledge of what a goofball you are. Okay, that's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
That is a fact with a lot of creative people. We just realize how much we screwed up before we got it so it's passable, and other people just see the finished product, and you're like, oh, well, when they're like, that's great, you're like, well, I know where I screwed up. They don't. Stop saying that. Just go, yes, it is. Thank you. A lot of hard work in that.
And what makes us artists, or creative types, or however you want to throw it around, we don't fit in the box. And so why would we fit in the rules and follow the line of the box? Because we don't fit in it, you know, and that's kind of the struggle always. You know, oh, look at that beer. Look at that. Drink, chug.
It's nice to see you using an American mug.
Freedom.
Or Scottish.
I'd like to point out that, thank you for pointing out that freedom, so clearly stamped on the side of my glass, is actually an English gluten-free beer.
Oh, I'm sorry. You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry. I'll fill out my Form 16-7B for butthurt replication later.
What are you chasing, squirrel?
I'll be alright if Fred would stop digging his claws into my thigh. He's having one of those evenings where affection seems to be transferred via pain this evening.
John says...
Well, Fred is my cat, for those of you who've not met him before.
John says, that's a cool sample glass. And Kennedy would like to know if that's San Miguel from the Philippines.
No. So it's, I believe, is it Spanish still? Yeah, I think so. Let me just double check. I'm sure it was originally.
Look at this show off reading without reading glasses.
Get focused. Look at him. He's trying. Come on, Kevin.
I don't know. I think originally the company originated in Spain, but I think it's probably now one of those widely distributed lagers. So the chances are it's probably brewed to their recipe, but it's probably produced in this country somewhere. But
whereas I am drinking out of a glass provided to me by Conquest Publishing.
Oh.
Thank you, John. Talking
Me too.
to Tavern.
Me too, right there, yeah.
All right. Click.
Oh,
Someone used my Talk of the Tavern glass and has left it dirty on the counter, and I refuse to clean it because I'm not the one who left it there.
oh God, those houses.
The High and Mighty Road. Okay.
We're not going. We had to have a roommate discussion today about the state of the kitchen and not leaving dishes in the sink so that we could still clean the dishes if we needed a dish, but we're going to...
In Chris's defense, I've been in this situation. Don't knock the man. It's important to be fiercely territorial over your shit.
I'm empathizing with him, and I'm sorry you have to deal with bitches. So
stick to your guns, man. I feel you. I've been there many times before. You show those bitches one fucking inch of weakness, and they will take it.
You know
they
what?
will take it from you. Your food will disappear. Your right to keep your own possessions will disappear. Your space in the kitchen will disappear. Washing up will pile up. Get on these bastards now.
I feel the need to add a public service announcement. When we're using the term bitches, it's not gender identifying.
No, absolutely no. It's a state of mind, a type of behavior.
And I do want to point out, BitChute is totally gender neutral.
Absolutely.
Chris, you know how I solved that problem?
Shit in the glass. I don't know.
While they're drinking from it. Is that my glass? Great idea, but no. I decided to live alone and live poor. Yeah. That's why my house is pretty complete, where I don't have to leave during a quarantine, because I'm like, I've set up my life so I can be poor and still have fun.
I don't get the number of
Yeah.
all my friends are bitching and complaining about this lockdown thing, and I'm like, it's basically someone sent me a message officially from government saying you got to spend the next 8 to 12 weeks at home, not leaving your house, doing nothing but playing computer games solidly all day, and we're going to give you 80% of your wages. And people are out there complaining about it. I'm like, fuck this. This is a party. I work like an absolute dog.
80% of our wages over here.
I don't want to make this conversation into a roommate thing. I'm just gonna say this: keep your dishes in your room. It works every time.
Well, so like most of the time, the dishes that I use, like I buy like paper plates and disposable stuff for most of the things, with the exception of various like utensils.
It's the ultimate fuck you in a shared environment buying paper plates. It's like I'm using it once and then fuck you. You're not even, it's going in the bin.
You know what?
You're not even getting a
Wash
chance to steal it.
that paper plate and put it in the drying rack.
You know, one of those really thick, heavy-duty, like, Dixie ones
Yeah.
that are all fancy.
Yeah. Just wash that thing and
Fancy
put it back.
paper.
Come back, it's like this lump of white.
Oh, that would drive me nuts.
Oh, right on. Right on. Yes. Yes. So tomorrow I'm so excited. I'm gonna go watch Jojo Rabbit. Finally get to see this movie.
Now that sounds like a porn name.
Front end or back end? I just wanted to take the show to another thing and then turn this tone here. Yeah, I'm excited.
Let's
So
see how
I've
this
been waiting
works out.
for it.
Her name is JoJo, and she's got a collection of rabbits. Like,
And she keeps all her dishes in her own den. So
Yeah.
we
I hear
You
there's a
can
lot
buy
of
a
buzz about that
passport
film.
for $50.
No,
you
it's
get her
funny how
OnlyFans for $5.99 a month.
it's funny how you go through life and there's things that like it's funny. It's always movies that elude you that somehow you just can't see. You just can't see, and then this is the one I've been trying for forever. Not forever, but 8 months. So and now what'll happen is there'll be a power outage and the DVD won't work.
Just stream it to your phone.
It's God going. All right.
So, Kevin, what about you? What things in your life have you looked at going, if I knew then what I know now?
I think I thought about this the other day after we thought about the topic of the show. There's not a lot really. I've always been one of those people. I think you can always posit this kind of argument in this scenario that if you change too much about what you've done in the past, you wouldn't necessarily end up being the person you are now, because obviously you can make the argument you're the cumulative sum of all your past experiences. But I think one big lesson I'd probably try and teach my younger self is I was very, very focused when I was younger that, and my parents, I think, were to blame a bit for this, that they drummed it into me that you've got to focus on getting your grades good, getting your qualifications under your belt, getting your career started. Then you can take the time to relax and enjoy the fruits of your labour, because you only get one shot at your education. And I kind of took that a little bit too much to heart, and I was a really straight up, boring, academically brilliant, but socially incredibly dull child. Which meant that when I actually left home and started to develop a social life of my own, I was quite socially stunted compared to a lot of my compatriots, and it took me a while to catch up. So I think probably the only bit of advice I'd give myself is don't be such a fucking tight ass when you're a teenager.
Fair enough. Jewel has added to the conversation saying, strange life achievement unlocked. Porn star friend made us her son's godparents. How old is her son? 20? 25?
Wait, that's what you're gonna ask? What is the porn star's stage name? Come on, man.
Unexpected pussy, man.
Jojo Rabbit.
Fred making his usual comic star appearance. You're famous again, boy.
You know
All
what?
right, I'll try to get Jake here so we can do international love here.
Oh.
Hold on. There's an emote that looks just like that.
We must be nearly an hour into the show. Suddenly everyone's getting their pussy out.
There it is. Here's a similar emote to what Fred looked like when you did that.
All the fun buttons. There's Fred.
This cat cracks me up. He thinks he's a parrot. When I'm gaming, and it's very bad for my posture, I know, but I have a tendency sometimes when I'm focusing to hunch forward slightly because I'm concentrating on the laptop screen. And as soon as I assume this position, if the cat's behind me somewhere comfortable on the sofa, he'll seize his moment and he hops up and sits across the back of my shoulders.
Yeah, he's a big
So I
cat.
swear, yeah, he's heavy. He is heavy. Oh yeah. I don't know if it comes across on camera. I can't tell because the view I get on my screen is slightly different to what you see on the podcast. But he's a chunky old chappy.
He'll fit right in. He fits right
He's
in.
coming for you.
How soft you are! Look, you wave at everyone.
Oh, he just looks like he's gonna kill us all.
It's literally, I'm moments from death there. The things I do for this podcast, you have no idea the danger I've just put myself in.
And everybody's posting pussy all over the place. There's just
Pikachu.
pussy flying all across my screen. See, Word says my mom has a 60-pound dog that does that to her. Oh, that's funny. It just told me subscribers only can do that. I run the channel. Stop that. The hell is that?
Here, let me wave my pussy for you. There you go.
There you go. Kevin playing with his cock.
Oh,
As always.
here we go, pussy love. Pussy love.
Hey, look. What's that? Look. What's this? Look. Don't care, dude.
He's like, I'm trying to kill you now.
So happy.
You know, you've seen this before. You must have. If you've lived around cats for any length of time, especially if there's other cats in the neighbourhood, that moment where they meet at the point where their territories in the street intersect, and they sit and they do that face-off thing, like who's going to be the first one to try and step across no man's land? It's like we're doing that, but we're doing, that's like equally it's more frustrating for them because Fred's like, that cat's like 3,000 miles away. There's literally nothing I can do to defend myself.
I don't even think they can see each other. He's not even looking at the screen. Wasn't that one of the first few YouTube videos? The cat playing the piano.
It's definitely a classic.
It is definitely a classic meme. Yeah,
As
no
well
cat.
as, I'm a kitty cat, and I dance, and I dance.
And I meow, 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 and I meow, meow, meow. I'm a cat.
Yep.
I'm a kitty cat.
Elizabeth doesn't remember that one from the look on her face.
I don't know that one.
It was like a still shot of a big fat orange cat stretched out, and somebody had, cut it out, and then just flipped the picture back and forth.
Oh, God.
And it'd move around the screen, and they're like, I'm a kitty cat. And I dance. And it would just flip the picture left, right. It was before animated GIFs. What do you got, Kevin?
I'm sorry, no, I was just laughing at Wordwin's, the little emotes there representing the two cats facing off against each other.
Ding, ding, ding,
I
ding,
like
ding.
that.
Yeah, it'd be horrible.
Alright,
but
Elizabeth. I put the kitty cat dance video.
Oh, I love you, Chris. Thank you.
it'd be horrible but hilarious if one of your cats attacked the screen all of a sudden and knocked your computer back.
Amazing. I was hoping I made Skype full screen so we could see it. It
Just
didn't
be
work.
quiet. You're hoping for that. I'm just praying Fred doesn't try and hump the screen.
I don't think that's against the terms of service. It's a nature documentary.
Yeah, you've got about 30 seconds to Google it, I reckon.
This video, the kitty cat dance, has 16 million views.
Yeah,
Huh?
because it's been
That's
around since like 2003.
Uh-huh.
Did you make this video, Chris?
I'm not that clever.
Oh, you're more clever. Wow. Alright. Cat videos. Alright, let's get Fred stretched and limber. He's got some shows to make.
You better drink the rest of the beer first, Kevin, so you don't feel it when he attacks you afterwards, or during, or before.
It's too late. You can add to the list of things I do for this show, not screaming out loud roughly every 20 seconds when the claws go in.
Giraffe does that on me, and earlier today when I was changing, I'm like, why do I have all these marks? And I'm like, oh yeah, Giraffe came and hung out on my lap yesterday.
For people who don't know why Fred is called Fred, it's an abbreviation. His full name is actually Freddy Krueger. And he was named because when he was a kitten, he had the hugest claws we'd ever seen, like fully grown cat claws on a small kitten. They looked ridiculously outsized, like someone had grafted some kind of, horror movie oversized claws onto him. Sadly, he's continued to live up to the name ever since and displays his affection via puncturing.
He was sweet to me, that's all I know.
Could have been worse. He could have been called Terminator.
He's alright if you sit still when he comes to you. If you pick him up and deliberately plonk him on your lap, sometimes he'll let you know he's not overly happy by removing small amounts of blood.
Andrea's cat, when I first met Andrea's cat, I picked her up and I pet her, and she purred, and then I put her down, and Andrea was just dazzled because she had never seen anybody else be able to pick up her cat. But I didn't push it,
Fred's sexist.
Hmm?
You sexist.
Fred's sexist. Yeah, he prefers men to women. He will go to a woman. He'll go to a woman if she's got food or she deliberately makes a massive fuss of him. But he will come up and inquire, he'll be inquisitive and come up and rub around and fuss around men like, hello, I'm here, will you fuss me, please?
So he's like a regular man.
Yeah, which is funny because I didn't get Fred, my wife did. It's one of those moments of marital compromise where she wanted a cat and I wanted a dog, so we compromised and got a cat. And ever since the moment she brought him home, he's essentially ignored her at any moment where she's not immediately providing food, but he worships the ground I walk on.
It's like having a teenager. Word says, I've actually been scratched by a 30-kilo tiger cub, hurt less than when my 3-kilo cat runs across my lap.
Mm-hmm, true.
Mm. I just want
the
to
dive bomb from the wardrobe, that's always a good one. He likes high places like a lot of cats. Somewhere where they can see everything coming. So he has a tendency to sit on top of my wardrobe in my bedroom, which I've actually had to move because it used to be up against my bed. And he would just drop off the wardrobe like a descending pound weight of doom. Always unerringly aimed, like he was guided by some kind of weird futuristic tack net straight for the scrotum. So
that's what they do.
The wardrobe's now in the other corner of the bedroom.
And the scrotum is safely locked in the medicine chest. But because it now has a perforated edge. Okay, yeah, we're an hour in, but you guys know the drill. If you need a break, wander off camera and wander back. That way we keep conversation going. So what about you, Chris?
Got the glass.
What have you learned that that you wish you had known sooner?
Most of the things I wouldn't change. Most of what I would change is me going back to slap myself in the back of the head going, no, dumbass, you're being selfish. Think about someone other than you right now. Because you're hurting the people around it and you don't realize it because you're being a dumbass.
Interesting. So do you apply that now?
Yes. It is something that I am actively trying to work on more now, as it has been abundantly clear, more so recently than
I think it's always
times.
funny when I have that kind of realization that, man, I should have been doing this. For me, it's motivation and actually doing the work to make these things happen. And then I'm like, man, I should have done that sooner. And then 3 days later, I'm like, so why aren't I doing it now? Oh, something shiny. I'll be over here.
Squirrel.
Yes, that is also a big problem of mine, but I think, I need to work on me a little bit right now.
Yep, the unending fixer-upper.
Which is a great song from Frozen. Little bit of a fixer-upper.
So within the last, couple of weeks of being in quarantine and reaching out to all of those people going, hey, we're stuck at home. Let's get on Skype and chat. I had, a come to Jesus moment with a friend of mine who I haven't talked to in a year and was like, all right, I heard you were mad at me through the grapevine, but I was too proud and going, well, you need to tell me when you're mad at me, but now that I know from a third party, I'm not going to go and say something and yada yada, and was just like, I'm being dumb. I want to talk to this person that I haven't talked to in a year. I need to say sorry for things that made them mad at me that I was unaware of, that was me being a selfish thing, and, it was, oh yeah, that's a thing that I do, that I don't realize I'm doing it. I should be better about realizing these things. So
it's a hard lesson and important once you do realize it. And it's not easy to admit when we have those qualities or moments or whatever it is. It's rough, and it says a lot. That you realize it says even more when you act upon it. Oh, okay, word has corrected you. Whoa, that's way too adult. You need to handle it like a Gossip Girl, or like in Gossip Girl. I've never watched Gossip Girl. Chris, what's that about?
I don't know. I've never watched Gossip Girl.
Although you immediately went to him like he was going to be an authority.
I agree with Travis. The fact that you can look at yourself now and see the wrong you're doing or an area you need to work on, that's admirable, and that shows growth. And don't put yourself down like, oh, I should have done this sooner. You're doing it now, and that's really an amazing thing. So keep it up.
Well, yeah, but if you look back going...
Real quick, say goodnight to John, everybody. Good night, John.
Good night, John.
Everybody.
It was hard to ding the bell when we're actually having a deep conversation for a moment. I didn't want it, but go on, Chris.
If I look back, let's say just to high school, I could probably pinpoint 6 or 7 times in the last, 20 years that I could go, great. You were being a selfish dumbass, not paying attention to the people around you, and this is why all of these things happen.
Yeah, that's
that
a
you were
teenager.
grumpy and fed up with, And had you been more observant and less about you.
Now, it's also a delicate balance with that in particular, because sometimes when you give too much, people they just take. And there's times where it is reasonable to shut it down and go, nope, not
right.
Doing it. But also it's reasonable to go, hey, it is a give and take, and it has to go both ways. And I think with each of you, especially Chris and Elizabeth, not so much Kevin. Kevin and I haven't really bumped heads, but with you and Elizabeth, we've definitely bumped heads, and one or both of us have come back and went, I like you, let's talk. I still think you're wrong, but I definitely see I wasn't right. Or whatever the case might be. And even just going, it was an idiot moment, and neither of us were good at that moment. The other person could go, I'll live with that. Let's move on.
Right.
And if they can't, well, that's on them then. And you can't do both sides.
Right.
But you could definitely do you. I did myself yesterday.
Yes, I'm finding a lot of, you're not wrong, but you're also not right.
Mm-hmm.
I was not necessarily right, so neither of us were right.
That's where 2 wrongs don't make a right.
Right.
It's hi Fred, I see you, big boy. It's yeah, I think for me, looking back, and I know I've said it before, and I started out pretty good in the beginning of the year doing the work that I'm like, why aren't I where I want to be in my life? Well, it's because you have to do the work to get there. And I'm like, well, let me do the work. And I started out, what is that noise? Eben, got a raid from Eben. Eben Blade of Revan. Good to see you. Let's raise a glass to Eben. Good to see you, man. How'd the stream go? Thank you for that raid. Appreciate it. Kennedy says, spending less energy on those not worth it and more on those who are. Well, Kennedy, I see where you're coming from with that. Evan, how'd the stream go? What'd you play? What's that?
Said I think we all see where he's coming from now.
And Word says 2 wrongs do not make a right unless it involves dishes. So, Evan, you doing pretty good? Good to hear. We're talking about things that we've learned. If I knew then what I know now. And God of War tonight. Oh. Is that
Nice.
Mars? Aries? Fred? Kevin has a God of War on his lap.
He's the feline god of war.
Kronos,
That's God of Time.
Fred's
the
like the Rocky.
protagonist in the God of War
Yeah.
series.
Oh,
Dun, 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 dun,
he is getting the eye of the tiger as you do that to him.
Kratos. All right, I was close.
It had a k and a and a o.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So and so.
I see Kevin pull that hand back.
In goes the claw.
I love you this much.
Ah.
I love you deeply
Claws
enough
are
to draw
necessary.
blood.
No, not too bad that time.
Well, the night is young. So is Fred. Oh, Evan has
Only a
corrected.
thigh left yet.
Kronos wasn't a god, he was a titan. Very true. Except in Piers Anthony's series, Incarnation of Immortality, he was an aspect of time. He held the office. Good series, by the way. The first 5, at least. 6, 7, and 8. Maybe he should have stopped at 5. And I adore Piers Anthony. Welcome back, Elizabeth.
Hello.
What are you chewing on? What do you get?
Hello.
Chips, sorry. I had to get Jakey some treats. He's such a good kitty.
Are you eating some of the cat treats?
I am.
Okay.
They make my coat shiny.
Evan, correct. Piers Anthony. Yeah. It's,
Elizabeth has the glossiest fur of anybody I know.
It's true.
she just shaved it off.
Clogging.
It's coming in too thick and too glossy.
What the hell are they talking about? I'll never tell.
Just
Wait,
sending
wait.
it to madness. Madness, I say.
Hell yeah.
I'm not drink to that.
I'll drink to that. I'd buy that for $20.
So you guys ever talk to a younger person and you see them making the same mistakes you did, and you know they're just going to be angry if you try to give any advice or information regarding that? You're like, hey, I did that. I've done exactly. It doesn't work well.
Yeah, kind of, recently.
How so?
So, I said to you recently, and I can't say too much about it on air just because I need to respect somebody else's privacy in this matter, but I have a very close friend of mine, somebody that I'll say who it is off air, but not on air, Travis, but someone Travis met when he came over and visited me here in the UK, is having some problems at the moment with their relationship breaking up, or their relationship has broken up. The problem now is that there are children involved.
Oh.
And there is, yeah, okay. Let's know, you get the idea. My 2 kids are stepkids. And so I've had this from the third party perspective, if you like, because when I got with my wife, what is now my wife, the kids were 1 and 2 years old, so I saw this from the involved third-party perspective, if you like. And yes, exactly that at the moment. I really want to say to this particular person, you should do this, you shouldn't do that. The problem is, it's one of those scenarios where, A, they're a different age group to me. So I don't mean this unkindly to them, because they're a good friend of mine, and I like them a lot. But they are a lot younger than me, like only a few years older than my daughter. And because of that, you do get that kind of, oh, you know, yeah, but what do you know about it? And also with something like that, it's very personal as well. So there's always that bias, that innate personal bias where you're like, well, this is my problem, my situation. There's no way you could possibly understand what's going on because it's so personal to me. The thing is, although it's personal to you, it's following patterns I recognize from our personal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've tried a couple of times to give this particular person advice, knowing that the advice is sound from my own personal experience that they've just refused to take on board, because how could I possibly understand how they're feeling, how this impacts on them? It's like, okay, I know it's, they're not my kid, but this is a scenario I've been in before. But you get that, it's understandable. You're always going to have that personal bias when there's high emotion involved in something.
There is also some lessons, no matter how much advice, information, or facts is put in front of somebody, they have to learn the lesson through their own actions.
That was
lessons.
A long...
Go
Sorry.
ahead. No, Elizabeth.
That was a long answer. I think Kevin knows it's a mighty hearty chug on that one.
That wasn't a long answer. Clearly, you've not been on this show for any length of time with me, Elizabeth. As you can well know, being British, one of my biggest problems is keeping my goddamn mouth shut most of the time.
That's what I'm working on. Okay, I'll join you.
I see this with some writers, because I remember where, I was given advice that 5 years ago I didn't take, and now I'm like, oh, no, I should have listened. And now I see others, and I'm like, it's not going to help, is it? It's just going to upset them and make them feel attacked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you didn't listen then, they're not going to listen now. Right. You do get that when you're older and you give advice to people, especially younger people. You kind of get to a point where you're like, I'm just going to stop, because all that's going to happen now is one of us is going to piss the other one off.
Unless they ask, and even then, depends. And I want to read a comment of Gary's. If they are anything like me, they won't listen. As a recovering person, alcoholic, I was a sponsor for some time, actually to mostly addicts, and it's very difficult to find someone who'll listen to wisdom coupled with that particular difficulty. This is where my particular experience lies in that regard. In this case, though, not being able to hear the message will kill them, and has. And Word says people can tell you for years how much running face first into a wall hurts, but there's only one way to know for sure. Yeah. I
don't think I've ever run face first into a wall. Thank you. That decides for me what I'm going to do to cure the boredom of isolation tomorrow.
Does that mean you are? Good.
It's a lot like my mother's way of bringing us up was, I'm going to tell you something twice. And if you don't listen after those 2 times and you hurt yourself, it's your own goddamn fault, and I told you so.
Wow.
If you break your leg, don't come running to me.
I mean,
or crawling.
How I learned the oven was hot. Like, don't go sticking your hands on the glowing red things. She told me twice. I did it once. I burnt my hand. She had like a thing of ice and cold water ready because she knew I was gonna do it. Granted, I was like,
Andy, I told you so dance. Okay, here's a dad joke for Elizabeth. My daughter just lost her mood ring. I really don't know how she feels about it.
Wait, let me do one more. One more.
Okay, one more dad joke. It's so much easier than pulling out the book that I have over here. Slept like a log last night and woke up in the fireplace. Better than waking up in the toilet after sleeping like a log.
Step up joke.
Hey. Okay, we'll do one more and then I'm done.
Okay.
Ain't that a good one? Here we go.
Jokes later.
Okay. What's the difference between a poorly dressed man on a tricycle and a well-dressed man on a bicycle? Attire.
Give you that based purely on linguistic value.
So where you put the emphasis.
Did you see what Wordwind said?
Yeah, February won't March, but April May. You guys feel free to read stuff off from folks. If you see it and you want to read it, you don't even need a bell.
You know, though, it's tricky because, we like to think we know, but life, you don't know for positive. You know your experience, but you don't know what life holds for other people. And that's the tricky part. And so I just say, that's it. That's it. You don't know. You don't know.
I don't know.
Kennedy says, and this is something I've ran across.
Just practice your I know you I told you so dance, and that's it. That's all you can.
My daughter is a very smart 20-something, but when it came to paying back her mom, I told her to pay less per month. Didn't listen. Speaks to one of my friends, also a Joe, who's like an uncle to her. He tells her the same. She says, Uncle Joe says I should pay less, so I'm going to. Yeah, that is quite common. If you're an authority figure in somebody's life, somebody else can give the same exact advice as you, but as an authority figure, they cannot psychologically accept your information. And they have to hear it from a different source that's outside the situation. Usually just because listening to your advice or not listening to your advice is a way to rebel and show, I know I can handle this, I don't need your help, but yeah, from an outside source, they're like, oh, that's a good idea. Happens all the time.
I've heard that from parents because, I'm an instructor, and I'll say the same things that parents have told them 20 times, and they come running home and say, well, Miss Elizabeth said this. And the mother will come to me, I've told him that 20 times.
Yeah. I've had friends where I have gone to them going, do me a favor, tell my kid this. Because they're not going to hear it from me.
That's right.
That's why the town
mug across the screen.
Oh yeah. It's and Word says that's why the town fool was such a respected position. She does come to him for advice quite often, just doesn't listen to it.
Remember the legend of Cassandra, who could foretell your demise, but she was cursed with that no one would ever believe her. And that's kind of wisdom, Welcome aboard, gang. Just threw that out there.
I came up with like a great lame superpower. I'm trying to remember what the hell it was. It was like such a lame superpower, but it'd be so much
fun. A glowing
fun.
Penis.
You mean like that John Ritter movie?
That lame.
Makes it easier to pee in the dark.
If you can't make money off that, you've got no imagination.
Or you're on Twitch.
And it's an absolute storm of money in Star Wars parody porn laying ahead of you right there.
Next time there's a blackout, the teacher will call you to the front of the room.
Porn.
Spaceballs. Ah, may the Schwartz be with you. Chris, I might watch Spaceballs tomorrow. I haven't watched that in years.
The problem is I have to pay for it. There isn't anything where it's currently free, because I've looked.
I've got it on Blu-ray
really?
and DVD. I have 2 copies. You need a copy?
I think I might.
Chris, for you, challenge accepted.
Wordwind
I'll
says.
find you a link.
Wordwind says the glowing penis is pretty common in some anime. What? Wow. Oh.
So we're all torn on asking for a link at this point, aren't we?
No. Present. Throw that link up. I know you're busy writing, but you can surely entertain the host too.
When they do get a hard on, do they get that huge teardrop? Just imagine lightsaber fights that would take place in all the gay bars. I don't know about you, but if you ever grew up with a brother close to your same age, it was lightsaber fights over the toilet, where you would both pee simultaneously.
I can see other side advantages to a glowing penis as well. Like, you have those moments you don't necessarily want to put the lights back on. Either your eyes have become accustomed to the dark, or you don't want to turn the lights back on. But you want to remember where you put your phone or your cigarettes or something. It'd be like, I can't find my phone. Can you just stroke me slightly? There it is.
Okay, so Kevin is going with the concept that
penis.
the harder you are, the brighter it is.
The what? The more powerful you are? Is that
The
what you said?
the harder your penis is, the brighter it is. So if you're flaccid, if it's a cold winter's night and you climb out of bed, it's barely a firefly. Exactly. We're very excited to see you, Elizabeth.
Can I get mine adapted so when I do the helicopter, it does that thing where it writes like designs or like slogans, advertising slogans?
You gotta keep it twirling, baby. Keep it moving.
Kennedy is clever and says, "What's the superhero's name? Anglerfish."
Oh.
John Ritter did a comedy back in
Yes.
the late 80s, early 90s where they put on glowing condoms and he walked in on his wife with another man in the dark and he put on the glow-in-the-dark condom and suddenly there's another glow-in-the-dark penis. So it's completely dark screen except for these glowing penises in the room.
Skin deep.
Thank you, Elizabeth. It was on the tip of her tongue, if you know what I mean.
Just the tip.
Just the tip. That's right. I've got an emote for that. There we go. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris.
Yep.
Now there is peanut or tips flying all across the screen. Good times. And that's a sword between it. I figured it worked well for D&D or money being thrown. So there we go.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to see with the small thing. You know what I mean?
Did you think of that power? It wasn't the glowing penis. I just threw
No,
it out
no,
there.
it wasn't. It was.
Carvilon
It's
Cheer.
like when you're having sex and the woman, the
X100.
light's coming out her ears and her eyes. Just thinking anime scene. Sorry about that, guys.
It is.
I'll be drawing that scene Wednesday on my channel.
Suddenly, she's a partner.
3,000
Picture
views.
after dark.
Just the icon is just a glowing pickle. Not the color I expected it to glow.
That's so funny. It kind of hurts.
When Elizabeth.
Yes, wow.
Hmm?
100 bits. All right, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's when Elizabeth has a breakdown and just gets like drunk and pissed, we'll see that stream. I guess you shouldn't say stream and glowing penis together, huh?
Years ago, I made a film. I was helping out with my nephews, and so I kind of babysat them for 2 weeks. And we made a movie, and it was like Revenge of the Dark Pickle or something. It was Star Wars. They had their little cloaks on and lightsabers. And it was fun. There was a glowing pickle. And I've actually seen a glowing pickle at Mount Olive on New Year's. They drop a glowing pickle. So.
There's that science experiment there. Do you know your teachers ever do that where you take a pickle because of the acidity of it, and if you pass an electric current through it, you can make it glow?
No, but next
Yeah,
week on
he-
my show, I'll be doing. Just keep coming, game. Keep coming. Keep coming.
She's got a notepad. It's almost full, but keep going.
I'd like to point out, by the way, just for safety's sake, because I understand that certain people around the world, let's not get too political, think it's safe to inject bleach. So I'd just like to point out at this stage that you shouldn't actually pass an electric current through your own genitals in an attempt to make them glow. It only works on pickles. Please don't go wiring a car battery up to your testicles after the show.
Let me ask
Yeah,
you.
but aren't I supposed to
Unless
hold
you're
a
into that
pickle
kind
in
of
my
thing.
mouth? Isn't that how it goes?
Is that how you do it? You wire the car battery up elsewhere, just hold the pickle in your teeth like, is it glowing yet? More voltage!
Now, would that straighten curly hair or would that frizz curly hair? What are we talking?
It was straight and curlies, and it would curl straighties.
Depends on duration. Yeah.
Aren't you guys familiar with violet wands? Haven't you seen them
No.
applied to genitals before? No? You guys?
Violet Wands.
Yes.
Again, sounds like a porn star name. Things
gonna
in the
look
show
it up.
that have sounded like porn star names.
It's a sex tool.
Yes.
I don't doubt that with a name like that.
Yeah.
Wasn't expected to be a kitchen appliance.
Or a superhero. This one says it's a UV light disinfectant lamp.
I mean, well, yes, technically, as the whatchamacallit is a, body massager and not a sex toy.
Yeah, of
Oh, I
course.
see. It involves
Like the-
electrodes. I
Yeah,
see.
you're referring, of course, to. I'm informed by a reliable source of mine. The Hitachi wand, I believe,
Right.
is what you're referring to, Chris.
I learned more stuff on the show. I'll tell you.
So Elizabeth's got a notepad just off screen.
I do.
All
actually.
show. She's like, yeah, absolutely. Like a click note. Things to Google after the show.
No, during this show, I gotta. I
During the
bookmarked
show. You can
Oh,
Google Hitachi one during the show, Elizabeth. Just don't use one during the show.
Okay, you got it. You got it. You might get a little feedback. See, now we thought it was your phone.
It's actually my Hitachi wand.
My
Makes
brother,
it all the more disturbing. The last hour I've had Fred in my lap.
my brother just texted me, "What's up?" So I replied back to him, "Show, glowing pickles," and then the link for the show. And he replies with, "You guys okay?" I think he's making sure we're not dead of, plague right now, but
Your
It's like when
pickle's
John
not
wrote,
actually-
help.
what?
There's actually a website called violetwands.com, and it's at the Violet Wand store. What type of violet wand is best for you?
I don't know if I want to play with her testers.
God, I just led a life, the land of lollipops and gumdrops.
I tell you what, usually you can find these things at most late night parties at sci-fi conventions.
I know, that's why I don't go. I don't like it when young girls go into rooms alone with men
Yeah.
that are like in their 40s.
Yeah. Hey, wait. Word says, well,
Travis,
yes.
when they lift isolation in the UK, how long before the US starts up the convention circuit again?
I mean, within a couple months, because they need at least 2-3 months to get things set up and rolling and fill the.
Give me a shout when shit starts rolling, because frankly, I'm a man in his 40s.
I'll comment more on that. Let me read Word's comment. He says,
You
well,
got a hell of a wand.
this may be an interesting sign of the times. I literally can't find the censored version to show off the glowing penis.
Right. I gotta Google that.
Actually, I just got an email. I was going to a convention in July, and it has been canceled. But they're going to do a virtual con, so send them a link and 4 pictures of your products and a description. And I'm like, really? Is people going to sit there for 2 days browsing?
It can work. I mean, it depends on the scenario. It can work. I don't know if you've kept up with it at all, or you've seen what she's been doing. But you know, Kat, who used to be a presenter on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So she's been working a lot of the Viking and Renaissance fair circuit recently, and she started up a page where she's been bringing people who normally sell their products at the fair, who obviously have no one to sell to at the moment, and brought them all together on a communal buying page where you can go and see the people's products and the things they'd normally have to sell at the fair and buy them digitally instead. So it depends on the receptiveness of your market, I suppose. It might work.
Well, for me, I just don't find it interesting to scroll through a Facebook group or whatever and just see advertisement after advertisement after advertisement. But I'm one of those shoppers that if I want something, I usually have a pretty good idea what it is or know exactly what it is, and I search, I research, I buy. I'm done. It's like maybe a couple hour process top for one item, tops. See, and Kennedy...
My wife hates me because I'm an inane researcher. She'll be like, do you want that one or that one? And I'll be like, I don't know, give me an hour to research them both thoroughly, come back and ask me again.
Yeah, because I do that too. Cause...
I don't do impulse buying.
Oh, I do, but usually I know the product. Or I can't find the product anywhere else, so I'm like, I'm just buying it because I want it now. But usually that's like a pin or something. It's a couple comments. Kennedy says, I've been involved in a few virtual cons since March. Kennedy, how are they? Give me some opinions and feedback on them. And Word says there's a couple virtual cons that have been around a few years. And I just have enough that I do online between the shows and everything else I do that I wish people luck. I'm not condemning these things. I hope they work. But I don't feel an urge to invest that time and energy into doing all this for really probably no sales, because I've run ads before and they haven't worked very well because maybe with a specific audience searching it. And the Kennedy said that's why I have 6 violet wands.
Yeah, like maybe you need to include your glowing penis. I mean,
That's true. That's true.
Get it on the advertising.
As long as I don't show nipples.
I've been Googling glowing penis, going through all the sex toys, and then I went to anime, and I haven't seen anything that impressive. There's just been like bursts coming out of people's pants. You don't really see anything. So.
Birds?
Bursts of light.
Oh, bursts. I thought you said birds, like tweet. I'm like, that's
they
weird.
do have, it's called a repeat, and it's a penis stuffed animal. It's a plush toy. It's very odd.
When you say a penis stuffed animal, you're talking about a plushie with a plushie penis already inserted into it.
No, it's a giant, it's a chubby penis.
So it's a plush penis. Because the third option
penis.
would be an animal
he's got
who looks...
big eyes.
Yeah.
The
My
third
roommate
option...
had one.
Of course they do.
They also have a pillow that does in fact have a giant dildo sticking out of it, but that's not here nor there.
As long as your glass isn't anywhere involved in that.
I mean, there are a bunch of glass dildos
Okay.
on the counter or in the kitchen next to the
Dirty glass.
toaster oven, but again, that's not here nor there.
It's in the kitchen, we know. The third option of a penis stuffed animal would be a stuffed animal that you could stuff your penis into. And we all know that inflatable animals like that exist. I'm sure there's plushies like that, but man, what cleanup.
That's a girlfriend. What are you talking about? Viewership just dropped to 4. Oh.
I haven't even been following. Did it ever get above 4?
We're off and on from. Yeah, we're good. We're doing really well. We're hanging in there. What a strange stuffed animal to have, a penis on your bed. I mean, of all things. It's like someone having poo on their couch.
I was just trying to find my giant plushy salmonella bug.
Oh, yeah.
Not sure where I've put him at the moment.
I shouldn't be too judgmental. I got a talking pickle, so,
Okay, so
Painted
Kennedy's...
a different color, it's a talking penis. What are we kidding?
Kennedy, in response to the cons, say, fairly good. If you have a number of authors talking about the same topic as at a con, say Star Wars or Lord of the Rings versus Game of Thrones, and the audience can type in questions or just talk, it's pretty good. And people just go to the sessions the way they would at con. Okay, we have something like that. It's called Talk of the Tavern. We've had it for years. Yes, you can get a walking stick made of a bull penis. It's called a pizzle. And they're also dog chew toys. So I used to sell 3 to 4 foot dried bull penis for people to take home to their dog to gnaw on. And musical acts, yeah.
The duck penis is like that.
I think I've just upped my party snack game.
Your party snatch?
Party snacks.
Did Chris get caught on something while trying to creep off the screen? Hey, speaking of sex toys.
It's on there. It's on there. A walking stick. Oh my god.
Things you wish you hadn't Googled.
I don't have enough penises in my life. Has this thought crossed your mind? Well, you're in luck.
Come on down to Big Dick Johnson.
At Talk of the Tavern, we have expert bull
Can we get one of
penises.
those with our logo printed on the side?
I'm sure.
You want it, you got it. First come, first serve.
Ah, first serve, first come.
Thank you, Mel Brooks.
Oh God, I was listening to Joe Rogan, and he was talking about Fear Factor. He was the host of Fear Factor, and they were talking about one of the worst challenges these victims, contestants, choose your words, had to do was they had to drink donkey. What were they calling it? Jizzle, but like huge glasses of it, and it was either that or urine. And he said more often than not, the women chose the jizzle. And his guest said, well, they've had years of experience, you know.
Sucking jizz out of some jackass.
You wonder where they've been getting all these donkeys from.
I don't know, but they're really happy.
I have yet to drink donkey jizzle, but hey.
All those holidays to the Algarve.
Oh my God, where have we gone? Word says, now the big rage is sawed up moose horns. And then he says, the twins one, they had liters of this stuff.
Oh. I thought the woman on Twitter with rubbing it on her face.
I remember that.
I shared that with you.
Ow.
Like a whole big old glass.
Dispel the rumor of that being any cosmetic use whatsoever, based on the fact that I've seen women I've done that 2 years ago and it hasn't helped any of them.
I even reapplied it when I saw him again. But that time I wasn't drunk and realized worst summer job I ever had or ever did.
It's just how they raise us down on the farm.
They raised something down on the farm.
It's amazing women get pregnant. You guys can't even keep it in one thing. You got to get it everywhere.
Then we introduced black lights.
The accuracy of a sprinkler.
The intensity of a violet wand.
I'll let you know. Did I ever tell you the time I had when I was working as a projectionist and for my friends, and I was projecting this film. It was like the last film of the night. It starts at 12:30, and it was a spiritual journey film, but it was pretty much a gay porno, and there was just a lot of and a lot of gang. And I was so tired. I was eating double stuffed Oreo cookies to stay awake. I'm like, oh my God, this movie's never gonna end. And I look over and there's Pickle Man, and I realized I had seated him on my stuff, and he was watching the movie. I felt so bad. I was like, oh. I took his eyes out.
Can you quickly show us the look on his face, please?
Elizabeth, was this like old-fashioned projection or digital projection?
It was digital. It was digital.
I have a friend locally. I won't name her because of the story I'm about to tell. She was the projectionist in our local cinema, and our local cinema is tiny. It has 3 screens, and each of them has, I think, probably less than 100 seats. It's a proper old-fashioned little Victorian place. She was the projectionist, and they, for many years, until about 5 or 6 years ago, didn't make the transition to digital. And as you may well know, the old style of projection from film generates a lot of heat. So the projection rooms used to be real sweatshops. So unbeknownst to a lot of people, in the middle of many family, PG, Disney type movies, the girl projecting the movie was stark bollock naked in the projection room because it was the only way she could stay in there for 90 plus minutes, was to not be dressed. So a lot of the time in our local, very cute little Victorian cinema, their projectionist was stark naked.
Sounds like most animators I know.
All the kids were like this. All the fathers were like this. Love this movie.
Waiting for the moment where the camera dims as the commercial comes on just for the movie.
Wow.
That's right.
Whatever it takes, huh? Whatever it takes.
She'll kill me if she knows I've just told you that.
Is that the one they caught Pee Wee Herman in doing that thing?
Poor Pee-wee. Not that he was the only one doing it, he's just the one that got caught.
And so he should have never put the glowing one on.
There you go.
I'll be 2 minutes.
Well, every time he comes, he goes,
Wait a moment.
Okay. Kevin's gonna go quickly take care of the projectionist issue.
That's good. That's Chris.
I think he's looking for the
spin
projectionist.
me right, oh, baby, right. He's getting his velvet wand. Oh, he took it out.
Did you see that, Mr. Chair?
Uh-oh. He's doing something. He's getting...
Black light. Oh, no, that's not the black light. Where's the black light? Oh, my computer screen is too bright and it blacks out the black light.
Oh. I was wondering maybe if you held it up to your face if we are going to see interesting things.
Don't. Hold on.
That's why he took a shower.
No, I took a shower because I hadn't showered since Friday.
Oh. Yeah, dirty boy.
Where the fuck am I gonna go?
By the way, Jules says, we had passable air conditioning, but I frequently had the female projectionist naked anyway. That's from Jamin.
Oh, your teeth look cool. Yeah.
Still so much light.
Jewel has reiterated once again, that's from Jamin. Clarifying once again, that's from the husband.
Not on the bed.
Hmm?
Not on the bed.
No, I just did the sheets, so they're clean.
If you know what he means, just did the sheets.
Beat me to it.
He beat it to it too.
Beat.
It's there you go. We got Chris back.
That's a little black light. If you had a bigger one, you'd probably fare well.
That's the thing. It takes D-cell batteries, so I need to like swap them out for new D-cells because they're.
I got some you can borrow. Any woman has D-cell.
Yeah, but you're gonna use those out. I don't want to take your batteries.
Wasn't there a movie like, why do you have batteries in the bedroom?
There was.
Or in the bathroom. She's like,
Yeah, there was. I don't remember where that's from. Kevin, do you remember?
it was Jennifer Aniston, I think. She's
Well,
like,
no, but I'm guessing it wasn't the early 90s movie Batteries Not Included.
I was right. Yeah.
I appear to have given slightly too much head.
Everyone needs a little head. Come on. Man. In America, they don't serve you beer with head on it. I don't understand why. They charge you exorbitant amounts of money for a beer, and they just refuse to. And I'll tell the bartender, and I usually say it quite loudly, everyone needs a little head. Come on, put some head on my beer. Oh, okay. I don't understand that.
British pub humour will be severely undermined without the different variations of please give me more head. Do you like a lot of head?
Yeah. There's alcohol in the head. It's okay.
I like a little.
You like a little?
Yeah, I don't like it to be the whole experience.
No.
It's fair. It's fair.
But it shouldn't be a topper. Something celebratory.
Something to rub on the face.
Put your-
Good for the complexion.
Put your rough face right in there.
I'm less fussed about it with a bitter. Why, with a proper British bitter beer. With a lager, a decent head, not a massive one, but a decent one. It shows liveliness, it shows freshness.
And what about a stout?
No.
A stout, no, it's the exact opposite. This is why when you see all the Guinness adverts, it's all about the settle. About 2/3, just over 2/3 to be honest. I don't know, 3/4. You pour the pint off and then you let it settle. And then when you top up a Guinness, I don't know if it's the same in the States, but the British pumps we have for Guinness, when you pour the pint, the Guinness logo has the harp on it. So you pour the pint to just at the base of the harp and then stop, and you leave it for around 90 seconds. And you let the beer settle out. So instead of the cloudy stout, you get that nice black bottom and the clear white head separate at the top. And you should only get about a half an inch of white head when it settles. And then to stop that being any thicker, there's less oxygenation. What you do is instead of pulling the tap forward to dispense the Guinness, you push it back and it dispenses at a slower rate. Less oxygenation, less impact hitting the pint, creates less head. So then you top off that perfect size head with more black liquid to the top. And that's what gives you your perfect Guinness pour. So with the stout, it's the exact opposite. You don't want oxygenation. You don't want to stir it up loads. What you want is that stout to settle out. So it gets that nice crystalline finish to it. Velvety smooth.
Beer porn.
In the U.S.,
Yeah,
I quite often
it's
see.
what I do for a living, though. You kind of, I get it. It's like asking, as somebody who works in IT, do you think you could fix my computer? Oh, stand back. Watch what I can do with your computer.
Kevin, you ready for a little horror story?
Yes.
In the U.S., when they're pouring beer, if you watch the kids, the young people pouring beer out of the tap, they will have a spoon with them because by the time it's halfway, the rest is head, and they're not leveling it. They're scooping it out. They're essentially wasting beer down the drain, so they can get you a faster pour. And I've had people when serving me a Guinness, they're like, "I'm sorry it's taking so long." I'm like, "It's supposed to. If you're poured a Guinness, it's not just there, done. You gotta let it sit and settle."
I just like to point out at this point, for purely self-congratulatory purposes, that one of the things I've done recently whilst I've been off self-isolated is that obviously, for those of you who don't know, I work for a brewing company as a manager, and I have become a certified, what is known as in our company as a cellar genius.
You want to define that a bit?
No, it basically means I've got the highest level of accreditation in our company for understanding how cellar dispensing systems work and how they affect the quality of your end product on the bar.
And you did this while staying home?
Yeah, at home, doing via online learning through the company I work through.
Okay.
Whoa. From what I hear, he's done years of research.
Extensive, heavy research in a variety of fields.
At home and at abroad.
Abroad, I've concentrated more on the fluctuating foreign spirits market. Fluctuated swiftly from the free bar into my throat.
Are we still talking about beer?
I hope so.
It's that bad. I went to buy birthday beer, and I went to a huge grocery store today, and they had, it was just, they must have had 30 kinds of IPA.
Ugh.
IPA. I know!
You say that like it's a bad thing.
30 of them?
If you like IPA, then you're golden. But the rest of us.
But there's so many flavors and types of beers besides IPA. They act like it's the only fucking one out there. There's
a big hipster microbrew.
Oh, it's because it's high alcohol, and then people just want to get messed up. So I don't know. And they had like one German beer.
IPAs are very popular as well because the brewing process gives you a much greater freedom to insert other flavors without compromising the alcohol content. And a lot of times, some of the flavoring ingredients you add to beers to give particular flavors force you to cap the alcohol at a certain point.
Gary, in response to your education, says, "That's very cool, man." And Kennedy says, "As an IT professional, Kevin's learning and the proper use of technology makes me happy."
That's all my work right now is online classes.
Pouring beer?
No, learning about the communication protocol that we send data between lighting consoles to dimmers and then to individual fixtures was my afternoon.
Well, I know
Nice.
they're not going to call it shaking hands anymore when the computers connect. That's what they used to call it on dial-up, the handshake. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Yes, it is popular. That's fine. I even bought one IPA because I'll try one. But it's also very easy to brew, and it's difficult to mess up. And if the flavor goes south, just throw more hops, more sugar, and you're covered.
Or some
And
orange.
that's why. Now, a British IPA is a whole different monster than an American IPA. And I adore a British IPA. And I had no idea for years I was drinking Twisted Thistle. I had no idea that was an IPA. It's delightful. But American IPA, enough already. We get it. Okay, we get it. You're bitter. Fine.
British
It's like sucking down
IPA
a
is
rubber
deceptive.
band.
British IPA is like a good friend that shakes your hand and smiles to your face, but is secretly sneaking up behind you in the gents' toilet with a load of cosh.
There's just tons of. I would just like to see the market. Everyone brags about the craft market in America being so expansive and including all these flavors. Yeah, but when you go out to buy them, it's just IPA, and then maybe one sour and one Hefeweizen.
And that's the thing. When you get to the one sour, it's a fucking citrus sour. Like, they didn't brew a nice yeasty sour. They went, oh, I want something sour. Let's throw some, like, orange or, like, other citrus.
Lime. Yeah, you see it all the time, using citrus as a fallback.
I want a nice, like, deep yeasty sour.
Yeah, I want something that tastes of hops. I want to get that planty, extracty kind of, herbal finish to it. I want something that's got a nice rounded, like you say, like a yeasty umami, good back taste on the back end of the tongue. I don't want something that just gives me, like, I can go and drink a fucking Desperado if I want to taste a hint of lime. Stop putting it in my beer.
That's exactly how I feel about the
citrus friends.
overly heavily warded hops. It's just too much. It's too much. One, fine. Make one amazing IPA, fine. But I don't need 30. You buy a multi-pack, and 4 of them are hops, and then one is, like Chris said, a sour with hops in it, or it's just, why can't I have a really massive hops, and then a beer, and then a sour, and then a lager, and then an ale? Or even a Dunkelweizen and a Hefeweizen.
Because you're the wrong side of the pond.
I am the wrong side of the pond.
Come back to the dark side.
Okay.
I'll be right over.
Closing thoughts. We've just got a couple minutes left. If I knew then.
I got my mother convinced that she needs to come visit your snakes. So.
Is she actually expecting reptiles or just Kevin's snake?
Yeah, she's actually terrified of snakes, but...
Oh, mine are lovely, all of them. No.
Not Lucifer.
But I hear Kevin's snake glows.
90% of them, literally. There are 10. 9 of them are absolutely lovely. One of them is not.
Word says I was really confused for a while since IPA for me is isopropyl alcohol.
Indian Pale Ale. It's a particular style of brewing a beer.
Okay. So quick thoughts on if I knew then, what I knew now, what I know now, what I knew yesterday. Any? Pat?
Yeah, I got one.
Go.
I would spend a lot less time putting myself down and focus more on just being productive, ignoring that evil little voice in my head, and just focus on putting that light out there.
Very good. Very good.
If hindsight is going to be any good to you whatsoever, it's not for criticizing the mistakes you've made. It's for learning how you could have dealt with the situation better and using that knowledge to dodge oncoming bullets in the future.
Fair enough. Anything from you, Chris?
No, I was going to say something very similar to what Kevin said. So.
Okay. Kennedy says 1 IPA, 1 sour, a Pilsner, and a donkey jizz, please. Now we'll do a closing toast.
I'll take 1 bourbon, 1 scotch, 1 beer.
There we go. Here's the bourbon. People's minds are changed through observation and not through argument. Will Rogers. There's to that.
I'd argue against that.
Closing music. Here we go.
Thanks for joining us for the discussion of shenanigans tonight.
thing that makes the show what it is. Don't forget to join us at the Tavern next week. Until then, have fun, keep learning, and be good to one another. Now, raise your glass in good cheer. Enjoy the small moments every day, and sing your dreams every night.
Is that jizzle on ice or is it warm?
It'd be great if he came back up and just the bottom of the bottle was there. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Jizzle to stay alive.